in another 2 minutes.
We can wait to 1 or 2 minutes.
1 or 2 minutes, can we? Fine, sir.
Sure.
Fine, fine. Right.
So every day you are having 3 lectures.
3 sessions, sir. 90 minutes
Yes.
each. 3 sessions are there. Yeah.
Good afternoon, all. For the next session, we have with us Dr. Avanish Kumar to give a talk on role of optimization techniques in distributed system. It's my privilege to introduce our speaker, Dr. Avanish Kumar. Dr. Avanish Kumar is presently working as a professor at the Department of Mathematical Science and Computer Application in Bundelkhand University, Jhansi. He has completed his PhD in mathematics from Gurukul Kangri University, Haridwar in 1999. He has served in various government organizations and university. Some of the notable positions are, he was a chairman of Commission for Scientific and Technical Terminology, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Education, and he has served as a director, Central Hindi Directorate, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Education, Government of India. Dr. Avanish Kumar has supervised 14 PhD theses, 28 MPhil dissertation. He has published about 90 research papers in national and international journal of reputes. Also, he has authored 2 books and editor for 4 terminological related books. His research interests are modeling, optimization, techniques, and distributed computing system. He is a life member of International Academy of Physical Science, Indian Mathematical Society, Computer Society of India, Operation Research Society of India, and many more. He is a Vice President of Operation Research Society of India and Vijnana Parishad of India. Dr. Avanish Kumar was awarded by Ministry of Employment and Labour, Government of India, New Delhi, for the establishment of Model Career Center under the University Employment Information and Counseling Center. This model is to facilitate the job seekers of this university as well as in Bundelkhand region with career-related timings, trainings, guidance, and counseling. In 2016, Bharat Vikas Award was conferred to him by the Institute of Self-Reliance, Bhubaneswar, Odisha, in appreciation of dedicated service to the society and humanity. In 2000, he was awarded Professor R.C. Mehrotra Best Teacher Award and Gold Medal for outstanding contribution to the university services. With this warm note, I welcome Dr. Avanish Kumar. Over to you, sir.
Hearty welcome to you, sir, on behalf
Thank
of
you.
on behalf
Thank
of
you for
Atal.
thank you for nice words.
So you can start the session, sir.
With your permission, I would like to share my screen.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Good afternoon, one and all. First of all, I would like to thanks to the organizer that they have invited me. A special thanks to Dr. D. Hemchandra Sagar, chairman of this Dayanand Sagar College of Engineering, Bangalore. Dr. CPS Prakash, principal of this college. Dr. N.K. Gita, coordinator of this FDP, and Dr. Radha Gupta, and all the fellow and friends and dear participants. My heartfelt thanks to the organizers that they have invited me for this FTP, and today I'm going to discuss the role of optimization techniques in distributed systems. My talk is divided in 2 parts. The first part, I'm giving the basic insight about the subject, and the second is based on the research. So as all of us know that distributed computing system or cloud computing system or computer networks, mobile computing are very useful tools, and we are using these tools very frequently, and these tools become the part of our life. Especially during the pandemic, we are using multiple times or multiple uses of these devices. We are using the smartphones, we are using the desktop, we are using the laptops, computers, we are using the distributed system, cloud system. We are extracting the data, we are uploading the data, we are sending audio, video, all kind of work we are doing with the help of this distributed system. When we talk about mathematics, operation research or optimization techniques are being very useful for such kind of practical applications. Or if I say mathematics is very much useful in almost all the part of knowledge, whether it is a humanities, social sciences, arts, or
Sorry to interrupt you,
commerce.
sir.
Yeah,
Your slides are not moving, sir. It's in the first slide only.
the first
Yeah.
is moving.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Now it's in the first slide, sir.
Yeah, is the first slide. I have not changed the slide. No? So optimization techniques are very much useful for finding the solutions of the various complex problems, or where large number of problems are large and complex problems are available, then providing the solution to the large and complex problems, we use the optimization techniques, we use the operation research, and most of you are familiar with the operation research and optimization techniques, and also little bit also familiar with the distributed systems or computer networks. So my talk is basically based on the optimization techniques and distributed systems. And second part of my talk will switch over to the research part of this area, and we'll discuss 2 or 3 problems in as a application of this area of distributed computing system. So I think there are 58 participants have joined. So I am focusing on the optimization techniques and distributed systems. When we talk about the optimization techniques, basically optimization techniques help us in getting the desired and appropriate solution. Not only desired and appropriate, but also the optimal solution. Optimal value, optimal solution. If we need, then we have to apply the optimization techniques. And these optimization techniques or operation research are applicable in most of the large and complex problems where we have to find out the optimal solution. When we talk about the distributed system, distributed real-time system provides enormous platform for the large number of research problems. So we have the optimization techniques, we have approximate methods, we have exact methods. In approximate method, we use the meta-heuristic, heuristic. In meta-heuristic, we use the trajectory methods and population-based methods. In trajectory methods, we go for taboo search and greedy search. And population-based methods, evolutionary algorithms, swarm intelligence, physics-based algorithms. And when we talk about exact method, then we use the branch and cut, branch and bound. This is a general view of the optimization techniques. And when we define the distributed system, as defined by Bhutani and Sitaram, the precise definition of the distributed system is the multiple computers utilized cooperatively to solve the problems. It is not the fact that the computing power of a distributed system increases proportionally with the number of processors involved. This point may be noted here. If we are increasing the number of processors of the distributed system, it does not matter that we are increasing the computing power. It should be taken care that the processor in the system should not be overloaded or idle. These 2 important points we have to note down at the beginning when we study the distributed system. Our processors of the distributed system, when I'm talking about the processor, it means a complete node of the distributed system. And the nodes of the distributed systems are not homogeneous, they are the heterogeneous in nature. And our system should not be overloaded or system should not be idle. The both case we have to consider here. And by considering the overloaded and idle situation, we have to find out the optimal solution in while we are increasing the performance of the distributed system. So multiple computers utilized cooperatively to solve the problems. When we go for the performance of distributed system, performance analyst, who can be the performance analyst in such scenario? The first comes to the mathematician and second comes to the computer scientist. So while we have to analyze the performance of such systems, performance of distributed system, we require a mathematician, a person who is having the knowledge of mathematics, modeling, optimization techniques, and another person is computer scientist. When both of them sit together, they work for the enhancement of the performance of the distributed systems. And performance analysis is based on mathematical science techniques, optimization techniques, and computational sciences, distributed systems, cloud systems, and computer communication networks. So these two things are very important. We need the mathematician, we need the computer scientist, we need the mathematical methods, we need the knowledge of computer science while designing the system and after their improving their performance. What is the requirement for the performance to obtain the optimal value of the parameters as well as optimal solution for distributed system? We need to obtain the optimal value of the parameter that we have considered for the purpose and afterwards optimal solution of the entire problem. To identify for the performance enhancement of distributed real-time system. Also, we have to identify the requirement. What are the requirements that can increase the performance, that can enhance the performance of the distributed real-time system? To identify distributed design at the level of hardware and software. Still, we have to identify the distributed systems design. However, in my case, we are considering only software part. We are not going in the hardware discussion. Comparison amongst the various systems available. It is also necessary to increase the performance. We have to compare the system which are available with us to check standardized value. To analyze a specific performance requirement, to evaluate design alternatives, to compare two or more systems to determine the optimal value of parameter. When we see the performance part of performance analysis part of such system, first of all, we analyze the specify the performance requirement. We evaluate the design alternatives. That is very much essential. And it is also required to compare two or more systems to check the performance to determine the optimal value of the parameter. To characterizing the workload on the system. To determine the number and size of the component. To find the performance bottleneck. To predict the performance for future load on system forecasting. That is while working on the performance enhancement or performance analysis of such system, the first point that should be noted down is the workload. We have to characterize the workload for the system. We have to determine the number and size of components. And find the performance bottleneck that is required, and also predict the performance for the future workload on the system. We have to assess what could be the future workload. According to the future requirement, we have to design our systems and we have to analyze the performance of such systems. Load balancing and load sharing also plays the vital role for the performance analysis of the system. When we have to load balance or we have to load share, both the component plays the important role while analyzing the performance of distributed system. Further, load sharing can be categorized as static and dynamic load sharing schemes for any system. Either we can share the load statically or we can share the load dynamically. Statically, initially we can distribute the load, and dynamically during the runtime, during the process, we have to share the load as per the available resources on the system. System parameter, essential to analyze. These are very essential to analyze the system parameter for the future need as well as requirement. Also, future load analysis be needed. Identifying as well as forecasting the system parameter. Whatever be the system parameter that need to be identified for the present scenario or for the future scenario. What are the major issues comes? An architectural model of the distributed system define the way in which the components of the system interact with each other and the way in which they are mapped onto an underlying network of computers. Computers, which are the part of the distributed systems, they are interacting with each other through the communication channels. That's why the way in which the components of the system interact with each other and the way in which they are mapped onto an underlying network of computers. So their networking is very much important here. The metrics that required here: server processing time, response transfer time, round trip time or response time, throughput of the distributed systems. These are the metrics that needs to be explained or need to be obtained. Criteria that we take for the performance analysis, that is capturing system functional behavior, method for efficient deployment mapping, approach for incorporating performance in formation of the system, and combinedly we are approaching to the scalable and automated model transformation. Then we apply for the analytical model, and we come to the performance result. So this is the general criteria for the performance analysis. What are the parameters? Multiple computers, multiple communication paths or communication channels, several replicas of a data item, retransmission message, etc. Variables that do not change during the runtime. Also, some variables which are fixed or static during the runtime cannot be changed. Workload on the distributed systems, either static or variable. Request to be made by the system. Number of state of the system. The state of the system, what do we understand by the state of the system? The state of the system, we see for the two different ways. One is the local and one is the globally. When we talk about the local state of the Asian channel, and when we talk about global state of the distributed system, consists of local state of each process together with the messages that are currently in transit. Suppose we are having one processor or one computers, and we are giving some job to process on our system or our computers, and computers start processing it, complete the process. When we transfer the data, when we submitted the jobs after completion, it goes to the second node or it goes to the server. Our this is comes under the local state of the system, and the data takes a few seconds to transfer from our computer, our desktop to the server node. Then in between that transit period, we are not considering in the local state, while when we discuss the global state, also we take the messages that are currently in transit phase. System environment. Distributed system environment, it is also important. The data is generated at various geographical locations and needs to available locally most of the times. In distributed system, we call it environment, and data is generated at the different geographical location, and the data need to be available locally most of the time. The data and software processing is distributed to reduce the impact of any particular node or site or hardware failure. Failure is does not put any impact while failure of a site or failure of a node. The system is keep running without any impact of failure of one node or two nodes. It doesn't make any effect on the performance of the system. The mathematical science, if I list, it is bifurcated in pure mathematics, applied mathematics, finance mathematics, statistics, operation research, biomathematics, industrial mathematics, and computer science also. It comes this extended mathematical science. And we are using here operation research techniques for the purpose, and also modeling. And if I say the mathematics can be used anywhere, yes, it is true. In any discipline, any part of knowledge, one can use the mathematics. It is a only matter of visualization at all. If you can visualize the problems, then definitely you can apply or you can use the mathematics over there. And if we say the fundamental knowledge, that is basically is the combination of the language and arithmetic, or say the mathematics. If we combine the language and mathematics, arithmetics, then it becomes the fundamental set of knowledge, and it is essential for everyone. It is essential for every part of knowledge, whether we are studying in the arts and humanities, or we are studying in commerce and business, or we are studying in science and engineering, or we are studying in the medical science and any other sciences. If we are having studying, then we need the language as well as mathematics. It is also equally important. Here, let us discuss a little bit about the modeling. Basically, modeling is the representation of an actual situation. A representation of actual situation. Why it is needed? A model permits us to examine the behavior of a system without interfering with its ongoing operation. A model permits us to examine the behavior of a system without interfering with its ongoing operation. That's why a modeling is important. If you prepare a model of a system, if you prepare a model of any situation, any environment, then this model or that model permit us to examine the behavior of the system without interfering with its ongoing. Very important area of research and area of knowledge where we can study the large and complex problems with the help of modeling and with the help of simulation. And when we classify these, it comes by structure, iconic models, analogy model, symbolic or mathematical model. By purpose, we can have descriptive models, we can have predictive model, we can have prescriptive model. And if we go by behavior of the models, then we have static type models, or we have dynamic type models. If we go by nature of environment, then we have deterministic models. And if we see by methods of solution, we have analytical model, we have simulation model. And by the use of digital computer, we can classify the model in analogy and mathematical, function, quantitative, and heuristic. A general methods are there analytical. We are familiar with the analytical, numerical, and Monte Carlo. Optimization techniques, we have analytical approach. As we are familiar with the analytical approach, that mathematical models where we obtain the solution by using the pen and pencil on the paper. We obtain the solution. We try to explore the derivation in analytical approach. When sometime it becomes difficult to find out the analytical approach, solution by the analytical approach, when problems become bigger and bigger and problems become complex, that time one cannot find out the solution through simulation, where we use the numerical techniques for solution. And third is the measurement based approach that comes in through the labs and fields. When we collect the data in the labs or we collect the data from the field, then we work out for the solution. And the last approach that is hybrid, when we combine two or more approaches to obtain the solution. Say, for example, we are using the analytical for initial solution, then we go for the numerical. We are using the numerical or we are using the analytical, then finally we go for simulation. That's then become the hybrid approaches, hybrid techniques. How do we select the metric? Computer performance metric, things to measure that we have to measure that include availability, response time, channel capacity, latency, completion time, service time, bandwidth, throughput, relative efficiency, scalability, compression ratio, instruction path, length, and speed up. It also includes the performance time, mean, and variance. So these are the different metrics that we have to select very carefully, depending upon our problems and depending upon our area of research, or depending upon the system requirement. We have to select the metric. Selection criteria: non-redundancy, low variability, and completeness. A commonly used metrics that we are using here, that is response time or reaction time, throughput, reliability, capacity, efficiency, and utilization. These are the very commonly that when we have to analyze the system or we go for the performance enhancement, we try to obtain the response time or reaction time. We want to evaluate the throughput of the system. We want to assess the reliability of the system, its capacity, how efficient the system is, then what is the utilization that we need to address these issues from very commonly. And systematic way for state goal and system definition. First of all, we have to state our goals very clearly. We have to note it down, our goal, our objectives, and then define the system. Also, we have to list our services, and it is important to note down the outcomes. Select the metric, list the parameter, select factors to be studied, select evaluation techniques, select workload, design experiment, and finally analyze, interpret, and present results. More or less, these steps can be used in any kind of research, whether we are conducting the research from the pure mathematics or applied mathematics, or not only from the distributed system. Other than distributed system, if you are having some research, then these are the common objectives that need to be addressed. That is the state. First of all, we have to define our goals, define our objectives very clearly. Then will outcomes, metrics that need to be investigated, parameters, factors that need to be studied, evaluation of techniques, and definitely workload and design experiment, and finally analyze, interpret, and present results. Selection criteria for techniques is depend upon the stage of research. What is the stage of our research? Depending upon the stage, we have to select the techniques. Time required. Time is very important here. In fact, cost is also important here. Depending upon the time and cost, we have to select the techniques. Not randomly, we are going to select any techniques. Is depend upon the time, is depend upon the cost. If it is too expensive, we go for the less expensive. If the technique is taking too much time, and we have to change the technique and select the technique that takes less time. What are the tools available with us? That is also important. We are selecting the techniques, and suppose tools are not with us. Suppose we have selected one optimization techniques and the related softwares are not available with us, then definitely there will be no use. So depending upon the availability of the tools and it's available with you, depending upon the availability of resources and tools, the techniques be selected. Then finally is the accuracy. What kind of accuracy you need? If you need more accuracy, then definitely accordingly techniques to be selected. Evaluation technique, simulation, tools of selection, parameter selection, simulation run, sample, random number selection, transit analysis, and right metrics. Validation is also important. When we work with such kind of system, we need validation. And validation, we are not having the standardized value here. So we have to validate our outcomes, our results. And it can be done only when we are applying more than one technique. When we are obtaining the results to at least 2 techniques, then we can compare the outcomes. Only will provide the validation of our results. Cannot trust on result as produced by one technique. And then also we are using the simulation. So for the validation purpose, we use the more than one technique. We obtain the result by taking one technique, and then we go. Suppose some solution we are obtaining by fuzzy methods, then we can go for the neural methods. We can go genetics algorithm. So likewise, we can obtain the solution from the different technique by using the different techniques, and later on we can compare, and on the basis of comparison, we can establish the validity of the results. Common mistake that a person does, no goal or biased goal. Suppose our goals are not clear or some biased goal are defined, then analysis without understanding the problems. It is very important. We are going to analyze certain problems. We are going to analyze the study, or we are going to analyze the system, maybe the distributed system or any other kind of system. And without understanding the problems, we cannot do the proper analysis. Unsystematic approach. We have to follow the systematic approach. It can take more time, or it can take more efforts, but the results, outcomes will be sure. But while in unsystematic approach, it can lead to the wrong results or wrong outcomes. Incorrect performance matrices. We have to choose the correct matrices. Unrepresentative workload. Workload clearly be defined, because that put impact on the systems. Performance. Wrong evaluation techniques. To evaluate or obtain the solution, we have to use the right techniques. Overlook important factor. We have to consider all the important factors. We cannot overlook any one of the important factor. If we are overlooking any important factor, then we can lead the wrong results. Inappropriate experiment design. Experiment design should be appropriate. It should not be in an identified confounded relationship amongst variables. Unidentified confounded relationship amongst variables that need to be taken care. These are the common mistakes that we do when we are going through the research problems or going through to solve any other problems. Specifically, we are talking in terms of research area. What are the important issues? Performance analysis need knowledge of mathematics as well as optimization. So when we want to enhance the performance of any system, we want to find the optimal solution. We want to find the best solution of the problem. So we want to take the maximum use of our device or of our distributed systems. So we must know about the mathematics and of course, optimization. Parameters, metric load factors be chosen very, very carefully. Criteria for user and service provider may differ. This is also important. The criteria what the users is required and what the service provider is providing, that may be differ, but we have to find the relationship between the criteria and for the user and service providers. There should be a clear-cut mapping between user and service provider. Then only we can provide the good performance. And a little bit, some more, I will talk about mathematical modeling. Mathematical modeling essential consists of translating real-world problem into mathematical problem. Translating the real-world problem into mathematical problems. We have the abstract problems, we convert it into mathematical form, and then we are converting it into mathematical problems. And then we are solving the problems and interpreting these solutions in the language of the real world. This is we are having the real problems. We are having the mathematical problems, then we reach the mathematical solution, and we are interpreting in terms of the real problems. Interpreting in terms of the real problems. These are the three basic stages problems be converted into mathematical form, then it may be solved and then finally interpret and interpolate in terms of real problems. A real world problem in all its generality can seldom be translated into a mathematical problems, and even if it can be so translated, it may not be possible to solve the resulting mathematical problem. As such, it is quite often necessary to idealize or simplify the problems or approximate it by another problem which is quite close to the original problem, and yet it can be translated and be solved mathematically. Idealization process or simplification process required a lot here. When we are not able to solve a certain kind of problems, then we have to idealize our problems or simplify the problems or even approximate it by another problems. Another problems that is very quite close to the original problems or original situation, and then we can solve it mathematically and then interpret the result in terms of the original problem. This idealization, we try to retain all essential features of the problems, giving up those features which are not very essential or relevant to the situation we are investigating. When we are doing the process of idealization, it is essential in all part of research. We have to retain the essential features of the problems. We have to retain the essential parameters, essential characteristics of the problems, and we are giving up those features which are not very essential or which are not very relevant to the situation that we are going to investigate. So on this way, we have to idealize our problems, we have to simplify our problems, then we can solve it. So this is the process of idealization. Sometimes it becomes necessary to idealize the problem because as such we are unable to solve the problem, then we go for simplification or we go for idealization or approximate. As we does in other parts also, we find the approximate truth, we find the approximate value. This is because we are not able to find out the exact value, then we go for the approximation. We have the real world problem, then we applying the mathematics based on the experience and understanding of the situation, we convert into real world model. Then on applying the abstract symbolic representation based on mathematical experience, we convert it into mathematical model. Solution based on mathematical experience, we move to the conclusion and then we compare it with the real world problem. So first of all, we are having the real world problem. We are converting it into the real world model. Then we are converting it into mathematical model. We are solving it. Then we are obtaining the conclusion, and the conclusion results outcomes be compared with the original real world problem. So this is the cycle for providing the solution of such kind of problems. That is, this is in between. We have assumed world, then we have real world obtained here, and assumed world to the, we are extracting the exact model. This is the art of modeling. What I told you about the this considering the essential features of the problems, that comes in between. We are keeping the essential features and we are removing the non-essential features or characteristics from the problems. Then we are extracting a model based on the real world and assumed world problems. And that model can be solved by mathematically, and solution can be compared, outcomes can be compared with the original problem. If the comparison is not satisfactory, Sometimes we can get the comparison satisfactory, sometimes we didn't get the comparison satisfactory. Then we modify the idealization assumption or search for another structure of mathematical model. When we don't get a satisfactory solution, then we have to idealize, we have to modify our assumptions, or we have to search for another structure of mathematical model. This lead to the following 12-step procedure for solving the problem through mathematical modeling. Be clear about the real world situation to be investigated, find all its essential characteristics relevant to the situation, and find those aspects which are irrelevant or whose relevance is minimal. It is important to decide what aspect must be considered and what aspect can be ignored. Think about all the physical, chemical, biological, social, economic laws that may be relevant to the situation. If necessary, collect some data and analyze it to get some initial insight into the situation. All kind of factors be considered here. Formulate the problem into problem language. Think about all variables x1, x2, and xn, and parameters a1, a2, and am involved. Classify these into knowns and unknown ones. Think of those mathematical models and translate the problem suitably into mathematical language, that is in the form of function, dependent function, independent function, then partial or integration or derivative, and form an inequality over there in terms of algebraic, transcendental difference, integral differential difference equation, or inequations. Think of all positive ways of solving the equation of the model. The method may be analytical, numerical, or simulation. Any kind of method can be used depending upon the situation. Try to get as far as possible analytically. Supplement this with numerical and computer methods when necessary, and use simulation when warranted. We'll start our finding solution through the analytical. If it becomes difficult finding solution analytically, then we move to the this numerical methods when it is really urgent, really needed. That then we use the simulation or Monte Carlo method. If a reasonable change in the assumption makes analytical solution possible, investigate the possibility. If new methods are required to solve the equations of the model, try to develop these methods. And it is not necessary that we solve the problem by using the existing method. If it is required or if it is possible to modify the existing method, then we go for that also. We can modify the methods, we can develop the heuristic methods, and based on the heuristic methods, we can apply those heuristic methods to obtain the solutions. Make an error analysis of the method used. Always we go for the error analysis. If the error analysis within the acceptable limit, change the method of solution. If error is not within the acceptable limit, then we have to change the method of solution. Definitely, if error comes within limit, then we can accept it. Otherwise, we have to change the method. Translate the final solution into problem language. Compare the prediction with the available observation or data. If agreement is good, accept the model. If agreement is not good, examine the assumption and approximation and changes them in the light of the discrepancies observed and proceed as before. Continue the process till a satisfactory model is obtained, which explain all earlier data and observation. Deduce the conclusion from the model and test these conclusions against earlier data and additional data that may be collected, and see the agreement still continues to be good. These were the 12 steps that I have mentioned here. This is very much useful when we are providing or we are investigating the research problems, or we are trying to solve the research problems. We have to take care, and we have to develop the correct problems, and we have to apply the correct method. Then we have to find out the solution, and this we can compare through the outcomes in terms of the original problems. If we get the satisfactory result, then we can accept. If error is less, then we can accept. If there is a error is beyond the acceptable limit, then we have to change the methods, or we have to redefine the problems by changing the assumptions and deciding the essential parameters or variables as mentioned in the original problems. And finally, the conclusion and test each conclusion against earlier data, and additional data may be collected, and see the agreement still continues to be good. Mathematics is studied because it is a rich and interesting discipline, because it provides a set of ideas and tools that are effective in solving problems which arise in other fields, and because it provides concepts useful in theoretical studies in other fields. When used in problem solving, mathematics may be applied to specific problems already posed in mathematical form, or it may be used to formulate such problems. This is the, again, I have modified the figure here, real world problems. Then we have real models, abstract, mathematical, and we can calculate through the analytical, and we can go through the computer programs, computer models, conclusion, and we can simulate the computer model, and we can interpret the in terms of real world problems. This is not essential here. Characteristics of the models, that is complexity of models. Models can lead to a new experiment, new concept, and new mathematics. A model may be good, adequate, similar to reality for one purpose and not for another. Model may lead to expected or unexpected predictions, or even to nonsense. A model is not good or bad, it does or does not fit. Modeling forces us to think clearly. Now, we'll discuss a research-based problems that is based on the distributed system. What motivation we have beyond the study for the distributed systems? Let us discuss in many real-life application areas like metrology, cryptography, signal processing, solar and radar surveillance, simulation of VLSI circuit, image processing, space science, military science, and engineering system, astronomy, genetics, engineering, and industrial process monitoring, etc., in which increased complexity and scale has led to the need for more powerful computation resources. If we are working in this area or similar areas, then there is a requirement of a powerful computational resources. Suppose we are working in the space research, we are working in the nuclear research, then we are needed more powerful computers, more powerful computational resources. So that is the basic motivation towards the study of this distributed systems. And when we are studying distributed systems, definitely we have to work for the enhancement of the performance of this distributed system. As earlier I said, distributed computing system consists of a set of cooperating nodes, either homogeneous or heterogeneous nodes. Processors are almost similar, or one device that you are having with you. Suppose you are having your laptop, that becomes a node. And the nodes in the distributed systems need not be homogeneous. They may be homogeneous, or they are heterogeneous. And most of the case, the nodes or processors or computers of the distributed systems are heterogeneous, communicating over the communication link. These nodes of the system, these nodes or processors of the system are communicating with each other through the communication link. This forms a distributed system or distributed computing system. Then distributed real-time system provides enormous platform for large number of such application and such type of research problems. An application running in a distributed system could be partitioned into a number of tasks and executed concurrently on different nodes of the system, referred to as task assignment problems. We have a big problems, then we can partition the problems, and the same problem can be run at the different nodes of the system. And those small problems, then we call the task assignment problems, because we are assigning the task to the different systems, different nodes of the distributed computing system. Assigning tasks to any node of the distributed system plays the important role towards the improving the performance of the distributed system. Assigning tasks to any node of the distributed system plays the important role towards the improving the performance of the distributed system. How do we assign the jobs? How do we assign the tasks to the nodes of the distributed system? It is a very important because this is very essential for obtaining or for getting the correct performance of the distributed system. It's like an organization. When an organization head has to allocate the different kind of jobs or different kind of activities to its employees, then it is very essential to whom what kind of job to be allotted, what kind of task to be given to which employees. So this mapping need to be done very, very carefully, and it is very important in case of distributed computing system. So assigning a task to the nodes of the distributed system is very, very important, because our performance of the system depend upon this distribution of tasks to the system. However, this issue comes under the category of NP-complete problems, but we have to find out some solutions by using the optimization techniques. The assignment of tasks can be done by statically or dynamically. Assignment of tasks to the system can be statically or can be dynamically. Load balancing and load sharing also become the important parameter for improving the performance of the system. Load balancing as well as load sharing, both are the important factor here, or important parameter here for improving the performance of our system. To improve the performance of distributed system, several studies have been devoted to the distribution of tasks, with the main concern of the performance measures such as minimizing the execution and communication cost, time, minimizing the application turnaround time, and maximizing the total throughput of the described system. So we have to minimize the execution and communication cost. We have to minimize the execution and communication time, minimizing the application turnaround time, and maximizing the total throughput, and also maximizing the reliability of the system. So this we have to need to investigate, or we have to provide the solution of such kind of problems. The policy that we can go for with the static allocation, we can static and we can go for dynamic assignment policy for the case of load balancing. Static and dynamic assignment policies for load sharing scheme. Further, here we have divided the problems into 4 groups, that is static and dynamic assignment policies, static and dynamic assignment policies for load sharing scheme. If we check our workstations, so a study suggests that our workstation idle time is from 33% to 78%. our workstation remains idle during 33 to 78% of the time shown in the studies. So naturally, when our systems are idle, then their performance must be down. If your system are less idle, then their performance definitely will increase. In distributed real-time system, the execution of a program may be distributed among several processing elements to reduce the overall system time cost by taking the advantage of heterogeneous computational capabilities and other resources within the system. Systematic distribution of tasks to its processor is necessary. In static assignment, when a task is assigned to processor, it remains there while the characteristic of computation changes and a new assignment must be computed. The characteristics of the computation means the ratio of the times that a program spends in different parts of it. In a static assignment, when we have assigned a task to a particular system, particular processor, particular node, it remains there. Thus, in a static assignment, one is interested in finding the assignment pattern that holds for the lifetime of program and results in the optimum value of the measure of effectiveness. And these are the researchers who has studied on the who has suggested the techniques, methods for providing the solution of the static assignment problems. Some of them I have listed here. Then when we come to the dynamic assignment, in order to make the best use of resources of the distributed real-time system, it is essential to reassign modules or tasks dynamically during the program execution so as to advantage of changes in the local reference pattern of the program. During the runtime, we can change or we can reassign the tasks or modules to the different nodes of the system. We have started our execution, we have started our jobs, we have started our task for execution, and during the runtime, we are changing from one processor to another processor, one node to another processor, depending upon their requirement or availability of resources. And these are some of the researchers those who have worked on the dynamic assignment. Static versus dynamic. Although the dynamic assignment has more potential performance advantage, static assignment is easier to realize and less complex to operate. Definitely, when we go for the dynamic assignment, it becomes quite complex. But static assignment is quite easier to realize and less complex to operate. These are some of the researchers those have worked for the reliability angle for finding the reliability evaluation to deals with the various design and allocation issues in a distributed real-time system. Reliability is also again the important issue here. And these are the researchers those have worked for the integer programming, branch and bound technique, matrix reduction techniques. So by taking the different techniques, we can obtain the optimal solution for our distributed system. The theory of load distribution classify the load distribution algorithm as load balancing and load sharing algorithms. Load sharing can improve the performance of distributed system. In load sharing system, workload is transferred from heavily loaded node to the lightly loaded nodes. Static load sharing policy do not require system state information in making the load distribution. In static load sharing, we does not require the system state, current system state, but as we go for the dynamic policy, make their load distribution decision based on the current system state. The load balancing, which involves sending load from overloaded processor to underloaded processor, should be carried out within due regard for communication overhead so that it is accomplished as quickly as
ఇంగ్లీష్
possible.
ఉన్నది సార్ కరెక్టే. మాకేందంటే అసైన్మెంట్ 1 ఆ పాత పేపర్
Load balancing, it become essential to optimize the overall throughput of the processor by distributing the task in such a way that the assigned load on all processors shall have to be balanced. When we are doing the load balancing, the assigned load on all processors should have to be evenly balanced. Load balancing versus load sharing. The load balancing attempt to equalize the workload, and it also increase the overhead of gathering state information. Load balancing is not achievable in a strict sense for proper resource utilization. It is not necessary to balance the load on all the nodes, rather preventing the nodes from being idle while some other nodes are heavily loaded. A load balancing algorithm transfer tasks at a higher rate than the load sharing. So we prefer for the load sharing rather than the load balancing, because load sharing gives the more flexibility. Allocation of parallel application tasks under load sharing scheme may increase the performance of the system. Optimum load sharing strategies are very hard to implement and are well known and be complete. Again, when we go for the load sharing, and if you want to find their optimum strategies, they are become very complex and well known and be complete problems. A processor can hold a limited number of tasks, and memory is also limit. So these constraints had been taken into consideration in the proposed model, which provide an optimal solution for the assignment of the set of M tasks of programs over a set of N processors nodes. Performance enhancement of the distributed system is the objective of this problem, and it will be achieved by appropriate assignment of tasks over the system. Now, we shall illustrate the exact problems what we are discussing here. We have considered a set of processor of the distributed system. In set of processors, we are having N processors, and a set of tasks, we are having M number of tasks. We are having P1, P2, P3, and so on, Pn processors. The N number of processors are available in the distributed system, and there are M number of tasks are available. M is always greater than M. Number of tasks is always more than the number of processors available in the system. The processing cost is defined through the execution cost matrix. The communication cost is defined through the intertask communication cost matrix. What we have to do while we are assessing the performance of the system: identification of initial assignment, identification of final assignment, calculate the execution cost, calculate the intertask communication cost, and finally evaluation of optimal cost. This problems we have done by 2 different ways, and basically 4 different ways. One is static and dynamic, then load balancing and load sharing in static, and load sharing, load balancing in dynamic. Both four different combinations we have made over here, and we obtain the performance of the system by minimizing the total system cost. The performance could be enhanced. We have M tasks to be processed over N processor, where M is very, very large to N. And for this purpose, tasks will be clustered in K clusters. K clusters are to be allocated on an N processor. For clustering purposes, we are using here K-mean clustering algorithms. Here we have M vectors of tasks to be placed in K clusters. Find K initial point. Number of points in cluster are equal to the number of clusters for each cluster represented by the task vector and are to be clustered. These pointers represent initial cluster called centroid. Assign each task vector to the cluster that has the closest centroid. When all the task vectors have been assigned, recalculate the positions of K centroid. Repeat the work of assignment and recalculation of centroid position until the centroid no longer move. This produces a separation of task vector into clusters from which the metric to be minimized. This is our formulation. Task to processors. If a task Ti is assigned to processor Pj, then it comes 1. Otherwise, we have it taken it in 0. This is the proposed method. This is the equation relationship that we have formed here. We are obtaining the execution cost by taking the summation of Eij, and second equation shows the processor-wise execution cost through that relation number 2. Then we have considered the two different matrices. One is the task, assigned task, and one for the non-assigned task. Two different matrices we have considered here. One to store the assigned task, and another is stored for the non-assigned task. Then on the basis of the equation number 3, we have obtained the mean service rate of the processor in terms of assigned task. Then finally, we go for the main service time, that is reciprocal of the main service rate, and then throughput of the system as represented by the equation or relation number 5. So these are the relationship that we have formed here to solve these problems. And then for finding the intertask communication cost, we use the equation number 6. Then processor-wise intertask communication cost, we use the equation number 7. Then finally, response time cost, that is execution cost and processor-wise intertask communication cost. Sum of there, we obtain the response time cost. This gives the optimal solution. This is the when we work for the dynamic allocation, then again we have n processors and m number of tasks. In dynamic allocation, the phase-wise efficiency of individual processor is given in the form of execution cost matrix. And now in dynamic allocation, the execution cost matrix become the 3 order, k by m by n. K is the number of phases. While in case of a static, the execution cost matrix was of m by n order, 2 dimension, but here it become the 3 dimension, k by m by n. K is the number of phase, m is number of tasks, and n is number of processors. And here we have to assume the residing cost for residing the unprocessed task on the processor. It's mentioned in the residing cost matrix. In dynamic allocation, all the tasks cannot process at a time. Some tasks are to be placed in under waiting scenario or residing at certain processors. That also incurs some cost. So for that purpose, we are assuming the residing cost. That also comes of 3 orders, k by m by n. Intertask communication cost among the tasks is considered and is mentioned in the intertask communication cost matrix, that is m by k. And when a task is shifted from one processor to another processor, then it incurs some cost. Reallocation. When a task is, suppose for example, a task is executing on the node number 2, then we are shifting it to the node number 5, then we are reallocating the task. That also incurred some time or some cost. So that also we have that parameter also need to be taken into care, and that we have defined by the reallocation cost matrix, that is m by k. This is the method. This is the execution cost. That is an important factor here. The task allocation gives x such that t tends to p, x equal to 1. For the task allocation x, the execution cost ECIJ represent the execution of task Ti on processor Pj, and it is used to control the corresponding processor allocation. Therefore, the under task allocation x and execution of all the tasks assigned to ith processor can be computed with this relation. Now let us see this through one examples. First, we'll discuss the static allocation. Execution cost matrix. Here we can see there are three processors, P1, P2, and P3. There are 8 number of tasks. Total tasks, total programs that are to be executed on the distributed system. We are considering a distributed system here that have only 3 processors, that have only 3 nodes or 3 computers, and 8 tasks are to be processed on these 3 computers with varying cost or varying time or varying reliability. This 6 represent the cost or time that the task T1 can be processed by processor P1 with the 6 unit of time or 6 unit of cost. The same task T1 can be processed by the P2 with a 3 unit of cost or 3 unit of time. The same T1 task can be processed by P3 with 5 unit of time or 5 unit of cost. So these are the execution cost. All the processors of the system are heterogeneous, so they have the different capacity and different time or cost are involved while processing a same task on either processor. Similarly, the T2 task can process by P1 with the 4, T2 by 2, and T2 task can process by P3 is 3. At certain place, we have taken the infinity. At certain tasks, we have taken the infinity. It means that particular task cannot be processed by a particular processor. That is, T4 task cannot be processed by P3 due to non-availability of certain resources. That's why we have taken the cost is here infinity. Likewise, T8 task cannot process by P1, that is also infinity. So this cannot be processed by this P1 processor. Then we have the intertask communication cost. Tasks can interact with each other except itself. So diagonal values are 0 and it is a symmetric matrix of order n, order 6. After applying the algorithms that we have developed here, applying the method, we get the optimal assignment that is represented in this table. T1 can be assigned by processor P1, T2 can be assigned by processor P2. Likewise, all the 8 tasks are going to processed by these processors. Then this is the optimal graph that we have described here. There are 3 processors, P1, P2, and P3, and these are the tasks that are allocated to P1. On P1, task T1 is allocated, task T7 is allocated. Okay, on P2, the task T3 is allocated, and T6 is allocated, and then T5 is allocated. And here, the 3 tasks P2, T8, T2, and T4. Likewise, it is the optimal assignment, optimally assigning the task to the 3 different processors of the distributed system. Now here I have mentioned some values on the link, that is the basically weighted. However, in this problems we have taken the uniform weight, but these channels have a different weight. So this can be considered if it is required. This is the basically the transfer rate from processor to task or processor to processor. So that weight of the channels here we have taken the uniform. That's why we have not considered for, especially for this problem. In some other case we have considered this also. This is the final result table that we have formed here, and we are getting the total output is 54. Throughput of the system is also, mean service time is also obtained here. And this is the graph that is mean service rate and throughput of the processors, P1, P2, and P3 respectively. This is the maximum busy time of the system. Maximum busy time of the system comes to be 54. here we have to take on the highest one, because after completing the last task, then only our system can be go in sleep mode or silent, this shutdown mode. Now, the same problems we solve with the help of the dynamic allocation, where dynamically we are allocating the task. There are 4 tasks and 2 processors and 5 phases. In 5 phases, we have to assign the task and obtain the optimal result. So this is our execution cost matrix. This is the phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there are 2 processors, and each phase we are having 1, 2, 3, 4 tasks. So these tasks are to be processed by these execution with these execution cost. In first phase, only T1 task can be processed at P1 or P2, while other tasks cannot process. So these 3 tasks, T2, T3, and T4 will have the residing cost, because they are residing on processor P1 or P2. So they will incur some residing cost. Same in second phase, third phase, fourth phase, and fifth phase. And this is the residing cost matrix. The first T1 task does not have residing cost because it is going to process. T2, T3, and T4 will have the residing cost. Likewise, second phase, third, fourth, and fifth phase. And this is the communication cost matrix. Communication in first phase, second phase, third, fourth, and fifth phase. And this is the, after modification, we get reallocation cost matrix also. When task is reallocated from one processor to another, that also includes some cost or time that is mentioned in the reallocation cost matrix. And the last column you are seeing, there is no values mentioned here, because when the last task goes to the processor, then there is no chance of reallocation. That's why there will be no reallocation cost shall be considered in the last phase. This is the optimal result for the first phase we have obtained here. And on repeating this process from phase to all the phases, that is phase from 1 to 5, we get the following results, and total optimal cost comes to be 78. So we are improving the performance of the system while allocating the task in dynamic allocation way. So this is the complexity comparison. Also, we have made some complexity comparison from the current these algorithms and other researchers, those have worked on the same dynamic allocation problems. And then we are considering the static load sharing. And here we have considered the same example as Bora et al. Worked. And also we have compared the results with the Bora et al. And Low et al. And Kopidakis et al. Algorithms. As this is the proposed algorithm, Bora et al. Algorithms and Low et al. Algorithm, finally Kopidakis algorithms, and which shows that our system cost is coming to 265. That is quite less as compared to other algorithms. And also we have obtained the entire solution for providing this analysis. That's I have not mentioned in this talk. This is the system cost in case of load sharing. And by implementing the proposed models, we can minimize the system cost by 27.78%, 29.09%, and 31.58% respectively. This is the dynamic load sharing. We are having the 20 tasks and 5 processors. This is the execution cost matrix for the 20 tasks and having the 5 phases. 5 processors. This is the mention here. Then we have the inter-task communication cost matrix as mentioned here, and we obtain the memory requirement for the modules in units. Then we have obtained the results as shown in this table. Processor wise, processors P1, P2, P3, P4, and P5, number of tasks, memory capacity, task assigned, available task capacity, and memory available. Then we have formed the cluster by using the K-mean clustering algorithm, cluster 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on the basis of cluster, we have made the final assignment, initial then final assignment. This is the final table that gives us results. And this is the optimal system cost that are mentioned over here. And this is the pictorial representation. And we can show performance is increasing by using this dynamic load sharing scheme. And these are the references. So with that, I try to give the insight of the optimization techniques, the role of optimization techniques and mathematics while executing the performance of the distributed system. Although I have taken the examples of the distributed computing system, but one can take any kind of example, any other kind of example also, then also we have to go for the similar kind of steps, and we have to work out. And some common features, how to conduct, how to investigate, how to conduct the research, how to investigate the research problems, what are the steps involved for providing the solution. That is also very important. In the beginning of the lecture, I had mentioned those steps. And I hope this will give you a complete insight about the subject as well as its application to the research problems. So with that, I'm thankful to the organizers and participants for patient sharing, listening, and for if you have any query, you can have the discussion also. And if you need, you can mail me, I will reply. With that, thank you. Thanks one and all.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful presentation and totally a different field. I'm sure this is something new what audiences have learned from your talk, because I'm sure not many people are working in this particular area and very good application field of mathematics. So thank you once again, sir. I will just check if there are any questions from the audiences. Anybody wants to ask any question?
This can be applicable in the management field. If you are working in the management, if you are working in the organization management, then also this can be applied. If you are working in the defense sector, these methods can be, because there is also issues for allocating the task to the means forces are to be given the task. So
Yeah.
that can be equally applicable in the defense sector, in the police sector. Even we have worked out one solution for the this Uttar Pradesh police forces, how to allocate the constables at the various posts. And recently I got one project also in the dynamic allocation area, and we have to start working on this dynamical, because dynamical area is quite complex, and we need more computational powers, as well as we have to more careful about the system, because during the runtime we have to shift the task from one processor to another processor. One thing is that initially we are assigning, we are giving the machine A be given the one task, machine B is given the 3 tasks, machine C is given the 4 tasks. But this cannot be in the dynamic. In dynamic, we have started with the processor. After completing the 50%, 20%, we have to check the current state, and then we have to shift the task from a certain particular processor, and we have to shift to the another processor.
Okay.
This is just to reduce the cost or time.
So any kind of coding is done, sir, for this?
Yeah, coding is required.
In which platform, sir?
Normally we are using MATLAB.
MATLAB, okay.
Earlier we are using the C++, then now we are using the MATLAB. So during the runtime, we have to shift once program is started, then we have to check the current state, and we have to check the availability also, just like a current reservation. Just like a current reservation in the train, we have to check the status.
Yeah.
As per the available status, we have to assign the seat.
So it is that coding is done in MATLAB, or there is any inbuilt toolbox for this kind of allocation problems?
Toolbox are also available.
Okay,
but we are using the MATLAB. We are using the small syntax, and then we are using this one.
I think it can also be used in our airlines, no, while
Yeah,
allocating the
yes,
seats
Yeah,
to the
allocating
passenger
seats
as
and
per
also
their preferences. Yeah.
also deciding the routes of the airlines. Further, it can be extended to the traveling salesman problem, TSPs.
Yeah, that's what.
And we can also use the neural network, artificial neural network. We can use the Apache and Genetics. Different kind of this approaches we can
Okay.
use here.
Yeah.
So understanding of this optimization techniques as well as understanding of the distributed system. And later on, it can be extended to the cloud.
Yeah. Right.
So
That's very nice. Very interesting, sir.
very much this provide the research
Hmm.
applications for the researchers.
Yeah.
So researchers can come on the knowledge of the optimization, then they can apply this to the distributed systems.
Yeah. I'm sure there are many young researchers in this FDP, and probably some of them will be motivated to take up this as one of their research problem, because it has got huge, what to say, applications. I feel there are many applications
Yeah.
area for this.
Basic
Thank you.
knowledge of optimization is required.
Yeah, right. But optimization, I think most of the engineering colleges, if I
Yeah.
see, it is taught or as either as core or as an elective, or even
Yeah.
in mathematics as a small part, it has been taught nowadays in
Mathematics also, management
engineering.
also, then engineering.
Yes, yeah. So
So
it is
knowledge
not
of
a new
optimization
term now.
techniques.
Yeah,
Knowledge of optimization techniques is required.
yeah, that's true.
And we have good
That's-
books in optimization area. And
Yeah.
in some universities, they are providing the master degree in operation research.
Huh.
Some universities like Delhi University is providing master degree in operation research. Some industrial master degree in industrial somewhere. The master MTech program is also there.
Hmm.
They are providing master MTech program
Hmm.
in industrial engineering. There also that this comes operation research.
Yeah. Really nice, sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. Let us see if there are any questions in the chat box. Sharmila, can you just see and conclude on that?
Yes, ma'am. Participants, you have any questions? If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask.
I'm sending my mail ID. So if they require, they can send me the questions or query, or they can route through you also. Then I will be able to reply. Actually, within the 1.5 hours, I try to conclude the so many things, and that's why I try to modeling application and this distributed system. That's why I could not go in detail of any one of the area.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually quite a vast field for people to look into. Yeah. Sharmila, can we continue?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir. It was a wonderful session. On behalf of participants and management, I wish to thank you, sir, for giving your valuable time and your thoughts. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And all the very, very best to the all participants for their future. Thank you. And thanks for inviting me for this talk. Thank you. Thanks a
You're
lot.
welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Okay. Good day,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm leaving.
Dear participants, if you have any query regarding the sessions or questions, anything, you can unmute yourself and you can discuss. We have feedback link there, and any suggestions, it's welcome.
Yeah, not necessarily this session. See, till now we have completed 3 days of our FDP. So if there are any suggestions, any queries or anything that you want to discuss, please feel free to discuss. We can have another 15 to 20 minutes if there are any things which needs to be taken up. Any suggestions from your side, how you are liking it, your feedback, everything is important to us. So you please feel free to share it with us.
Yes, good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, sir.
So today we listen good topic now within the this session now.
Okay.
Good application, madam. Thank you, madam, providing this type of application now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, madam. Everything is okay, madam, from our side.
Okay. Yeah. First 2 days we had some hands-on session. I hope you have all liked it regarding that MATLAB and Python yesterday, day before yesterday. So
Yes.
I hope people have liked that, because that was our idea, that nowadays NATS, we are going hand in hand with the laboratories. Most of the
Yes.
colleges, they are asking us to bring a mathematics lab as one of the components. So we have tried our level best to give that kind of insight also to the participants, where they can feel it's not very tough. If we really put our head, we can learn MATLAB or Python, or there are so many other softwares like Maxima, Scilab. So I hope it has benefited you all.
Yes, madam. And one more small request, madam.
Tell me, sir.
After the completion of all these things, can you share all the things within the for all the mails now?
So what we will do is, we are creating a YouTube link for all these sessions. So till yesterday, we have already created, we will share those YouTube links with you. So you can watch all these sessions once again from the beginning till the end. Okay. So we'll share it in the group, sir. No problem.
Okay, madam. Okay.
Anytime you can have a look at it. It will be there on YouTube.
Okay, madam.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you, madam.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else would like to give the this thing? So I see one message here. Excellent sessions. Kindly share the PPTs and recorded sessions, ma'am. It will be useful. It will be definitely, Dr. Anuradha, it will definitely be shared with you. Not to worry. Maybe whatever we have done till now, maybe today, including 3 days, we are going to upload the links today itself. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? So thank you all for all your wonderful patience and being a very good participant. I'm sure you have a good takeaway to your respective colleges and departments, and it is definitely going to add some value to your personal growth as well as to your department growth. Thank you so much. Yes, PPTs, sir, whatever we receive, we will send it to you, Dr. Trilokinath. Whatever we receive as PPTs, we will share it with you. Otherwise, anyway, all those PPTs, everything will be there in the recording, YouTube recording. So you can always feel free to have a look there. So we have shared the YouTube link in the WhatsApp group just now. You can have a look at it. Okay. Whatever we have recorded till yesterday evening, the 6 sessions, all that has been already uploaded as a YouTube link in the WhatsApp group. You can have a look at it.